What's up, Bills Mafia? Today we're going to be talking about the biggest questions about the Buffalo Bills offense heading into 2023. But before we get to that, let's get to that intro. Welcome to the Mafia Sports Report. I am Tommy. Please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell because I always forget to tell you. Well, Bills Mafia, today training camp started, and I will have some videos up for you shortly of how the first day went of training camp, and so look for that. But today we're going to be talking about the biggest questions about the Bills offense in 2023. And once again, I want to send a special shout out to Bills Wire for making this article. So, biggest questions about the Bills offense in 2023. And we are going to start with Josh Allen. How much has Josh Allen's pocket protection and air attack improved? And they say Allen has made some headlines this offseason about playing safer in pocket passing football in 2023, as well as highlighting the impact that receivers Khalil Shakir and Trent Sherfield have made amidst off-season workouts. While Allen has never been shy about taking to the air or ground to make a play, could we see him take the next step as a pocket passer this season? And will the replenished offensive line group and receiving corps around him be enough to improve the outcomes of the air attack? GM Brandon Beane added free agents receivers Trent Sherfield, Deontay Hardy, as well as an elite, versatile receiving tight end Dalton Kincaid in the first round of the NFL draft. Those new additions will allow Dorsey to run more two tight end sets and open up opportunities across a receivers group that is now much deeper in talent. Beane set out to improve protection for Allen this offseason, and he brought in guards Connor McGovern and David Edwards via free agency, and Osiris Torrance and Nick Broker via the NFL draft to bolster the offensive line competition. Time will tell how much Allen improved to a safer pocket passing approach and whether this receiving group takes that passing game to a new level. I agree. Listen, man, it had to be done. As far as the offensive line is concerned, they had to address this situation because I don't think they ever truly addressed the situation since McBean started running the show here in Buffalo in 2017. I just kind of felt like they've been band-aiding, putting band-aids on this offensive line, and musical chairs at offensive line does not work in the NFL. You need to have, you need to have guys in place to start the season and end the season who are reliable, who could pass block and run block. And you can't keep doing these one-year deals on these veteran offensive linemen who are on their last leg and just cannot offer much as far as protection goes. And you saw that last year when it came down to Saffold, who, listen, by the way, Saffold was, a very, very good player throughout his career, but age caught up to him. And you saw that when he played for the Buffalo Bills last season. It was not pretty. So finally, Brandon Beane went out via free agency and got himself some younger talent on the offensive line and added some depth. Guys that are not yet proven, but have shown that when they were given the opportunity, they could play that position and play it well. And that's Connor McGovern when he played with Dallas and David Edwards when he played with the Rams. They just got to get more reps, and they got to work with Cromer in training camp, and hopefully these guys can be our quality depth players that we've been looking for as far as Edwards goes. Connor McGovern is actually going to be starting at left guard, and hopefully he sticks around, and hopefully that works out because it's a 3-year deal. Now, he also drafted, finally, he went through the draft and got himself, in my opinion, the best guard out of the draft in O'Cyrus Torrence, a guy that is going to be a future Pro Bowler. And I'm going to tell you right now, guys, he's going to be fun to watch because he's going to be bulldozing people around, man, because this dude is the man. And I'm going to tell you that right now. You're going to hear stories out of training camp about O'Cyrus Torrence and how he's just bowling around the defensive line because that dude is massive, man. So I was really, really impressed on how Brandon Beane finally addressed this offseason with offensive line protection for Josh Allen. Now, as far as the receiving corp goes, it is still a question mark for me because a lot of these guys aren't proven, except for obviously Stephon Diggs. I think Gabe Davis, we could say, has proven that he can be a reliable receiver. And I know a lot of you guys are saying he's not a 2, he's more of a 3. And I just don't think that's fair, especially last season. He had the ankle injury. It was his first opportunity at number 2. And I didn't think he played as bad as a lot of you guys think. He had a little over 800 yards. Listen, if your number 2 can get around 1,000 yards, close to that, that's a good season for a number 2 receiver. And he was very close. And I believe if he didn't get injured, he probably would have had that 1,000 yards, in my opinion. But this season, he's coming in healthy. It's another year for him to get better as far as his position goes. And I believe he will have a breakout year, and it's a contract year. Now, the rest of the receivers is where the question mark really begins. So let's start with Khalil Shakir, who is on his sophomore year with us. Can he take a step forward? I thought he played very good last season when given the opportunity. So we'll see what he does in training camp and once again in preseason when he's battling, that third spot, which the next guy I'll go to is Trent Sherfield, who I'm very excited to see this season. He had a really good season last year when Miami had tacked up about a little over 400 yards receiving. And man, I'm telling you, man, for when he played in Miami, there was a lot more options for Tua to go to weapon-wise, and for him still to get those kind of yards was impressive. Now, he had, his drop percentage isn't the best, but he can improve on that, and that's something that hopefully he will do in training camp and preseason, work on that drop percentage, getting that number better. Then you got Deontay Hardy, who is a speedster out of New Orleans, and you guys saw flashes when he's healthy and he gets the ball in his hand, he's explosive. The problem is his injury history. He's been injured a lot since, being drafted in the NFL. If he could stay healthy with us, he could definitely be a weapon on this offense when given the opportunity. And he's a good special teamer's kick return, punt return ability. So look for him. He's going to be exciting to watch. And then I guess we could bring up Dalton Kincaid, who is a tight end / wide receiver, but it's his rookie year, and we'll see what happens his rookie year. Will he have a breakout rookie season? He may, because he's not your typical tight end. It just really, all depends on how quick he catches on to the offense in training camp and preseason, how him and Josh Allen get a connection going early on, and if Ken Dorsey will actually see that and then use him in the offense, the way he's supposed to be used, or the way they're thinking that they want to use him, and hopefully he gets a lot of snaps in his first season to help Josh. Because the one thing Josh didn't have last year was a security blanket at receiver. Once Cole Beasley left, he was missing that. And you guys saw that last year, when other receivers like McKenzie just didn't step up to the plate. Then we had Crowder get hurt, I think week 4 or something like that. So he was missing that veteran presence. So last year's receivers, besides Diggs and Davis, were just not there. So hopefully this year, these guys that I mentioned, the Shakir, the Sherfield, the Hardy, the Kincaid, they can get everything together, get it right in training camp, and bring that into the regular season, and help Josh out in this offensive attack that we're trying to put together. So let's get next on this list, and that is Who will be the secondary target in the passing game after wide receiver Stephon Diggs? Funny, we're just talking about that. The Bills receiver group was depleted by injuries last season, resulting in double teams on wide receiver Stephon Diggs. Gabe Davis had a number of drop passes in wide receiver 2 duties. That is true. That led to Brandon Beane bringing back former Bills pass catchers Cole Beasley and John Brown to help and to members of the media questioning whether the team has a reliable second option after Diggs. With the addition of Sherfield, the Bills will have another receiver competing alongside Davis, and Hardy has potential and upside as well. Wide receiver Khalil Shakir has generated buzz going into his second season, and rookie Dalton Kincaid could become the offensive threat that has been missing since Cole Beasley was in his first run with Buffalo. Tight end Dawson Knox emerged in the second half of late last season as a playmaker and a secondary target as well. In all, the team has more of a receiver rotation and depth at the position in the event of an injury, if injuries occur, as well as options to free up Diggs and other targets. Now we wait to see who among them becomes a secondary threat. Listen. Sherfield or Shakir is not taking Gabe Davis' spot at number 2. I'm sorry. Gabe Davis, he is the number 2 receiver, no matter if you like him or you don't. He is going to be the number 2 heading into week 1 and throughout the whole season. Listen, Gabe Davis, go back through his career since he was drafted. He has made some unbelievable plays in unbelievable moments, right? Big plays in big games, right? And he, against the Colts in the playoffs, against the Chiefs, he's had some really good regular season games, but he needs to work on his drop percentage. No doubt about it. Last year was not good. Throughout his career, not very good either. He needs to improve on that, no doubt about it. But he has proven that he can make some really tough catches. He has proven that he could be our number 2, and he is our deep threat. Now, will that change this season because we have some speed on the outside in Sherfield and Hardy? Possibly. And maybe they can actually get Gabe Davis into different kind of plays instead of just going deep all the time. And that will probably help him. So that is interesting. But the rest I already talked about. I told you my feelings about Sherfield and Hardy and Kincaid. And I don't believe that they brung in Cole Beasley and John Brown last year because of Gabe Davis. I don't believe that at all. I believe they brung them in. One, I believe they brung Cole Beasley in because Josh Allen needed a security blanket. And because Isaiah McKenzie couldn't step up to the plate when Crowder went down, they had no choice. They were desperate. And they went out and got Cole Beasley, right? And it was just a little bit too late, right? Then John Brown was more of the speed receiver that, once again, we don't really have, or we didn't have last year. So they were hoping John Brown could at least maybe be that guy. And listen, John Brown hadn't played football in like 3 or 4 seasons. So, he had a really unbelievable play. I think it was his first game or second game. But, it is what it is. You know what I mean? So this year, with Dalton Kincaid, they're hoping he could be that Cole Beasley. With Deontay Hardy, they're hoping he could be that John Brown, the good John Brown, when we had him the first year, when we got him with Cole Beasley in 2019. So, yeah, that's how I feel about that. But I don't think they got Cole Beasley and John Brown because Gabe Davis. I just don't believe that. All right, next up. Does the offense have a plan for the run game? It says the Bills running backs groups have seen some changes this offseason as well. It was just announced that last season's trade deadline acquisition, versatile running back and return man Nyheim Hines has sustained a season-ending injury, which you all know. He got hit on a jet ski. He was on a jet ski. Somebody else hit him, and I'm guessing crushed his knee, and he is out for the season. Should not have been on the jet ski, though. Just a heads up. It's in his contract, all the Bills' contracts, that they are not allowed to be on jet skis. That's one of the, and he was. So, hopefully this is a lesson learned. And I know it sucks. I get it, But it is in your contract, and accidents happen. And look what happened here. Anyways, Bean has allowed running back Devin Singletary to leave in free agency, and for second year back James Cook more opportunity in free agency. The GM also added Damian Harris to compete with Cook for RB1 duties while providing a big back on third down and goal line plays, as well as Latavius Murray and undrafted free agent Jordan Mims. In the wake of Hines' injury, the team also brought in former Titans third-round pick Darrynton Evans, as well as former XFL Abram Smith, and former Packers Kylene Hill for workouts. By the way, they did wind up signing Darrynton Evans, just a heads up. So the offense would appear to have more depth and dependability at the running back position than it did previously, while also improving the catch and run potential at RB1 position. Last season, Ken Dorsey and the offense were critiqued in the media for appearing not to have a cohesive plan for the run game integrated into the scheme. It remains to be seen this season whether that has changed. You know what, and somewhat I agree with that. My biggest concern, my biggest question mark going into this season was going to be the receiver room. I also had the running back room, but I got to say, the running back room has now taken over as my biggest question mark because James Cook going into sophomore year, he had a very good second half of the season last year. Like I thought the game slowed down for him. I thought he was more patient, waiting for his blocks. I thought he was a little more stronger between the tackles, and that was good to see. But this is his sophomore year. Let's see if he can continue where he left off, and can he be a guy that gets, let's say, 200 carries? I don't know. Devin Singletary here never got 200 carries, right? He was always under. Now, Damian Harris can be a really good back when healthy. That's the big thing. When healthy. He's really only was healthy one season. That was 2021, where he had played really good. He had 15 touchdowns with New England. But other than that, guy has not been healthy. Missed multiple games every season. And that worries me 100%. Latavius Murray, that's an interesting player because, yes, he's aging, but he's shown that he still can be a decent running back in the NFL. Can he compete with Harris and get that RB2 spot? I don't know. They're going to be battling in training camp and in preseason, and can Harris stay healthy? And then you got, obviously, Nyheim Hines going out, which hurts the passing game because I don't think he was going to get a lot of runs, but I thought he was going to probably get mixed into the offense because he has that speed, and now he's hurt. So now they brought in these other guys, which, by the way, that the one guy that they brought in, Darren, I can't even pronounce the name, Darrynton Evans, third-round pick, the guy has also been bothered by injuries. So it's like we're signing a lot of these guys. Now, mind you, they're cheap signings. I get it. But I keep saying I don't understand why the Buffalo Bills don't at least reach out to Kareem Hunt and see if they can get a deal going for like a 1 year or 2 year deal. I would feel way more comfortable with Cook, Hunt, and either Harris or Murray going into the season than Cook, Harris, Murray, and then whoever the hell these guys are that they sign. I don't understand it because Hunt right now I think is valued around 4 to 5 a season. Listen, Nyheim Hines, you're going to get a little bit of money out of that since you put him on the reserve. You could find a way. You could definitely find a way to get Hunt on this team. I just don't feel comfortable with this lineup right now, this running back room, heading into 2023. I got to be honest with you. And if Harris goes down at any point, or, whatever, Murray goes down, we're all going to be going, why aren't we running the ball more? Why is Josh Allen on 3rd and 1 always going for it? Why on the goal line are we constantly passing? Right? Why can't we just run the ball in? Because we don't have that guy anymore. Because we're short-handed. We don't have that power back to get us the 1 or 2 yards that we need. You bring in Kareem Hunt, you solve that problem. right? And then then let's say Harris can stay healthy. Then now you got another guy that can handle that as well. I just, man, it really worries me, and I don't understand why he didn't address that. When the guy's sitting right there for you, man. It's confusing to me. All right, next up. Will Ken Dorsey find consistency as offensive coordinator? Ken Dorsey had a tough act to follow as previous offensive coordinator Brian Daboll, who had found success in the role with the Bills, left to become the head coach of the Giants. While the hope was the offense would continue as it had previously, there were some challenges during the transition in Dorsey's first season, including that of the after-mentioned run game. This year, with the deepest talent pool on offense the Bills have had under Beane and McDermott, Dorsey's performance will be watched even closer. He'll have more talent to work with at offensive line, receiver, running back, and tight end. I disagree about the running back, by the way. Everything else, fine. The lineman group will compete for the best 5 to take the field as starters and have stronger rotation of talent depth than in the past. Damian Harris adds a big punch to the offense for third down and goal line situations, as well as RB1 competition and depth. They also have more backs to share the workload and wear and tear at that position. The tight ends group is now the tight end group is one. The Bills have been active in adding talent behind Dawson Knox. In addition to that, the rookie Kincaid, who was the top player at his position in the draft. The team has continued to add talent to the mix, recently signing undrafted tight end Joel Wilson out of Eastern Michigan, and some former Packer signing Nick Gugramos, I can't even pronounce his name, and scheduling a workout with Jace Sternberger, who I think they did wind up signing. The team has been looking to run more 2 tight end sets since last offseason attempt to do so with O.J. Howard. Knox will be joined this year by Kincaid, who has elite hands and athleticism, to go with tackle breaking, play extending 50-50 ball, and yards after catch abilities. The 2 tight end sets with these players will force opposing defenses to play 11 personnel set nickel packages, creating holes and opportunities for the Bills. With all that on the table, Dorsey will be expected to succeed and perform better in his second year, and time will tell whether he will rise to the challenge or potentially find himself in a hot seat at the end of the season. Listen, Dorsey gets way too much criticism. Way too much criticism from last year. We just went down this whole list of problems, pretty much, that we addressed this offseason, right? Offensive line was garbage. Wide receivers were bad, so bad we had to go get guys out of retirement. The running, we didn't have a running game because we had no offensive line to run block, so that didn't happen. Okay? And the tight end department was just Dawson Knox, who was used as a blocker because the offensive line was terrible. So we really didn't even have tight ends last year because O.J. Howard didn't work out. We shipped him off or cut him, whatever. So, guys, we winded up being second in offense last year, right behind the Chiefs. For all that being said, I think you got to give the guy a little break. That's one. Was he perfect? No, of course not. Could he have done things differently? Sure, and I'm sure he knows that. But it was his first year as OC. You all act like Brian Daboll was this hot shot OC. Y'all know Brian Daboll's track record as OC before coming to Buffalo. He was awful. He was fired everywhere he was hired. He was hired and fired within one season everywhere. Right? Cleveland, Miami. Gone. Then nobody wanted anything to do with Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll came here, and he was not that great. And he got better. Sure, and I'll give him that bet. I will say he did get better, but his second half adjustments were always awful. His in-game adjustments were pretty bad. He didn't have a running game either. Right? And I felt like he had better talent at receiver while he was here. than what Dorsey had. And Dorsey, if you look at last year's offense compared to Brian Daboll's the year before in 2021, they are even. They are the same. And one can argue they're a little bit better under Dorsey last season. So I expect Dorsey to have a good season. He has offensive line now. He has a little bit more depth at receiver. Now, will these guys step up? That's I don't know. We'll find out. The running backs, shaky. But the most important thing out of that whole thing was the offensive line. Josh Allen now has protection. The running backs now have good run blockers. That's the most important thing. And he has a weapon in Dalton Kincaid who now can be that security blanket for Josh Allen, who did not have that last year. So let's see what happens year 2 under Dorsey calling the plays. But there is a reason why Josh Allen wanted Dorsey as OC. He trusts him. He knows he's a hard worker. Dorsey knows what Allen likes as well and what he doesn't like. So I just feel like a lot of people, once again, they want to, when things go bad, they want to find somebody to point the finger at. And instead of stepping back and saying, and going, hey, maybe we just weren't that good as far as players go, like offensive line and wide receiver help last year, and running backs, really, because we couldn't run. And by the way, I loved Devin Singletary, and I don't think it was his fault. I think it was just that crappy offensive line. It was not a help. But instead of everyone just looking back and be like, hey, you know what? We went 13-3. We were second in scoring with that offensive line, with these Isaiah McKenzie, Crowder going down, right? Khalil Shakir, rookie, had to step in. He wasn't even supposed to play last year, guys. I'm telling you. If he was going to get very limited snaps. I went back and watched some of these games last year, because they've been rerunning them on NFL Network. Oh my God, terrible. McKenzie dropping the ball, falling in the end zone. It's like drop pass after drop pass. Offensive line can't block. Josh Allen, within a second, is getting sacked. I mean, it was so bad. It's so tough to watch. And I have no idea how we went 13-3. I have no idea how we were second in scoring. So you got to give him a little credit, because he worked with some bad players. Let's be real. They weren't the best. Playing musical chair at offensive line all season long. So bad we had to go get Cole Beasley out of retirement. So bad we had to get John Brown, who hasn't played football in 4 years. But nobody wants to mention that. Nobody. It's just funny to me. Anyways, comment below. I want to know your thoughts about this. And Bills Mafia, I love you. And as always, go Bills. I'm out of here. Peace.